Okay. Hello, Vitorio. Vitorio, did I say that right?
It's actually Vittorio from Italian.
Vitorio. Okay, that
Mhm.
makes more sense. Okay. Um, Good morning. Can I ask you as we start this, how many of my typing sessions you've seen before?
Well, I haven't seen a full typing session. Sorry about that. I think I saw a few videos of yours where you discussed about typing and other things, but I haven't
Okay.
really had the honor of seeing the full picture, let's say.
Okay. And how long have you known about cognitive functions slash MBTI stuff for?
Hmm. Well, I was introduced to cognitive functions when I was 19 years old, so it's about 6 years. My brother is a psychologist, and he is an INTJ, and he is the first one that introduced me to all of this.
I see. Okay. So have you gone out of town on a little vacation in the last, say, year or so?
Well, depends on what you mean by vacation.
I mean, you're sleeping in some place that's not your house.
Well, yes.
Okay. Can you so and it's out of your town. It's not like you're sleeping over your girlfriend's house, it's like you're out of town, you know.
Correct. Right.
Okay, can you tell me about this trip, like what your favorite moment from it was and your least favorite moment?
So I did one trip just last weekend, actually. That was a trip to Switzerland. Have you ever been to Switzerland?
I have never been there, no.
It's quite a clean and a lovely place. It was a place in the mountains. I went there with a few friends, and it was a trip to attend to a music festival. Now, it's not an ordinary music festival. It's actually um, an illegal music festival, which makes it even
That's
funnier.
kind. That's the best kind.
Yeah. Um, and we went there, and those were not really my friends. Keep in mind, these are people that I see every now and then, and that was the first time that I did something like that. These are people that go on this music festival quite often, and I would say it's a group that goes to them. It's a already formed group, and I was part of this group for the first time. So we went there, and the most beautiful thing was that, well, I got to know a bunch of really interesting people, people that were probably fucked up in their minds, drugged to the bone, talking about the most weird stuff. And I think that was also a test to be myself, also, or try to be. Since I see me very differently from all of these people. Actually, for me, the most easy thing is to see these people as a category rather than uh, in the individuality of them. It's missing. I tend to see them as a category of things, and I tend to differentiate myself from them. And that's the mistake I definitely do when I encounter new.
Why do you see it as a mistake?
I don't see that as a mistake. I see that as a necessity of mine to be objective.
They treat them as a category?
Well, it's not about categorizing stuff, but it's that I have of course, I would say, necessity to see the groups as one thing and me as the other. And when it comes to that, I usually have to step back from actively let's say seeing myself as part of the group, or seeing myself as an individual that encounters other individuals. For me, it's quite hard when I see a group of people and their specific habits and traits. I tend to sort of differentiate myself and try to understand them. That's what I do.
So do you think that you understand yourself more by differentiating yourself from others and how you are distinct from their commonalities versus, say, introspection about your own authenticity?
Well, to me, authenticity is I think, well, sometimes I'm afraid that I'm not authentic enough.
Okay. For
Sometimes,
what's the source of that? Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
because I tend to see, the reason why I think I'm not authentic enough is that I see other people doing things, um, uh, having to accept traits of themselves and the ethical norms of their lifestyle, and all of a sudden I see the necessity of identify them and objectively say, okay, this is how things are, and this makes me quite observant. At the end, I realize that I have observed everybody, but I have lacked a sense of really what I imposed on other people, of who really I am.
I see. In other words, you you feel like you know them better than you know yourself.
I guess.
Right. Well, that's certainly informative. Um, okay. So, when you went to this music festival, were you like in one way distinct because you weren't so out of your mind on drugs as everybody else?
I don't understand you. What do you say?
Like you mentioned how everybody at this music festival was on a lot of drugs, right?
Yeah.
Was one of the ways that you were distinct in observing is that you weren't on as many drugs?
No, of course I wasn't drugs like them. Um,
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm relieved to hear that. But you still, the drug didn't change you from being observant to more immersed.
well, yes. The point is that drugs do make different reactions in me. I mean, they stimulate different sides of my personalities. Um, for example, if I smoked weed, I would become quite distanced, actually. Um,
Okay, makes you
um,
kind of quiet and withdrawn.
yeah, because I sort of put myself into a very I start to study. Essentially, if I smoke weed, I start to observe what people are doing and what the tribe is making out of their minds, and I start to give definition to things and reflect on the meanings of what is going on, and I find myself to be completely standstill, unable to do anything, just listening. And
So
sometimes,
you don't smoke pot on the regular then?
and this is why I don't smoke, because I become quite unable to properly interact with others. I become quite distant. That's the truth of it. Um,
Sure. Okay, cool. So what's the do you have any kind of end game for understanding others, or is understanding the end in itself?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What I'm saying is, do you understand others so that either you can get, you can shape the relationship like you want, so that you can understand them so that you can meet their needs better? You understand them so that you can have them meet your needs better, or just understanding in itself is the goal?
Hmm. Well, it's not easy to answer. Um, hmm. Well, what I like to understand others. Of course, understanding others is very important, because then I can fully find myself to be exploring myself. Let's say I can understand you and have um, I have the right feeling with you, so that I can quite talk about the things that I most find interesting about life, and what I see, the truth in things, and what are my ideas about specific topics, and I can find a place where we can both share and uh, and uh, and uh, and talk about it. It's almost like we connect to find a common truth in things. Like
What topics, for example, are you interested in? If you met somebody and they were interested in exactly what you wanted to talk about, they were interested in hearing about exactly what you wanted to talk about, what would be their interests?
what will be their interest or mine interest?
Theirs. If this person, you're saying you're evaluating them, right, in order to know what kind of ideas you can talk about and expect to have good engagement with them. So I'm saying, if you are going to get good engagement with them, what kind of ideas are they going to want to hear you talk about?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, you don't know. So I mean, like you have to find out from them what ideas sound interesting, and then you talk about those ideas.
Of course, I think everybody's quite on its own page on things. I mean, it's everybody is quite different. I cannot expect from somebody to know what they like of me and what they want to talk about.
Right, but in theory, you can imagine somebody who's more compatible to the kind of things you want to talk about, or somebody who's less compatible to the kind of things you want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So if they're more compatible, what kind of things do they want to talk about?
Well, I could say anything again.
Okay, all right. So you can go with any topic, right? As long as they have a passion about the topic, you'll find interesting ways to engage it.
Well, they could have passion about that topic, but I could not necessarily engage in the topic.
So if the topic is, for example, car racing, oh, I'm really passionate about car racing. Are you going to want to talk about that?
Well, I could offer my disgust for car racing.
You don't like car racing. I don't like it either.
No, I mean, I would say just I find your idea quite stupid. I mean, I mean, you like car racing. Tell me what's so nice about it. Maybe I'll listen to you. But I think what
The car is going around in a circle.
yeah, they're going around in a circle, and you probably overpaid for your ticket, or you just I don't know. I can find a million reasons why I don't find that exciting. But yeah, I mean, this is a question which I cannot fully comprehend, or maybe give you a definitive answer. It's quite maybe it's a language difference between me and you.
Well,
And
let's
I'm
say
not.
somebody comes up to you and they're saying they're going to play your game. They're going to find out about you and then engage in conversation based on what you want to talk about and what you think's interesting. So they come up to you and say, like, so, like, intellectually, what do you prefer to do? Solve some problems that are tricky to solve, or understand the nature of truth.
Well, you're saying, is my way of thinking on problem solving or just for the sake of understanding the topic? Is this your question?
Well, no, because I'm asking you, which kind of problem do you more like to direct your attention to? The kind of problem that has practical implications, or the kind of problem that doesn't?
I would say it's both. Merely if we have to talk about fixing stuff or having to do with material stuff, for example, my dishwasher broke down. I need help fixing it. I could be giving you ideas on how to fix it, in the realms of ideas and what to do and what you should do, what I would do if I was you. I could do that, but I could also talk about various topics that interest me. For example, psychology or philosophy is those things that I really enjoy on
Okay,
talking about.
what's your definition of truth, if you have one, or comment upon what truth means if you don't have a definition?
Well, I don't really have a definition, although I understand that truth is relative and that everybody will try to push a truth to you, their personal belief. And they inevitably have to, I have to make a realization that everybody has one, and that I have one truth and I can explain to them. We have to, well, this is it. People have their own truths, and I have my own. But I know that I'm right on specific things, and I think I can talk my way through that.
Right. So you each have your own truth, but that doesn't mean both truths are correct.
Well, generically I like to say that you can keep your own truth, but let me ponder it with my own ideas about things, and let's say who stands up after that. I mean, that's a quite I mean, that's the consequence of debate.
Very, very sensible perspective you're voicing there. It's an eminently sensible perspective. Okay. Let me ask you some questions about basic SI stuff. What's your sleep habits like?
They're terrible.
Okay.
They're terrible.
Is it terrible in the following way? Like, you have stretches where you get way too little sleep and then this big crash where you try to catch up? Or is it terrible like you just never get any sleep?
Well, for example, I spent the past 3 weeks sleeping practically nothing, like 4 hours, 5 hours a night, staying up late, reading, and maybe waking up very early, just for the sake of waking up early. And then I found myself in these days, for example, sleeping a lot. Since I don't have a job, I can do that. Sleeping, going late, going to bed very late, and waking up late. Well, I've been feeling really great these days because I've broke up with my INFJ partner.
You broke up with an INFP partner? Is that what you said?
I broke up with my INFJ girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, INFJ girlfriend.
Yeah.
You broke up with your INFJ girlfriend.
Yeah, and this is also why I asked you this interview, because we have something in common. I think you have too a relationship with an INFJ.
I do. Yeah.
And
And I think we have something else in common too, probably, but I haven't gotten there yet in the testing.
yeah, I can speculate on that too. Yeah, but I wanted, of course, I have an idea of what my type is.
Uh-huh.
But
As
of
do I.
course, I also want other people to tell me what it is, because I think I have an enormous amount of biases I cannot get over.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
So
fair enough. Okay. So let me give you some TE questions so that we can eliminate ISFJ and INFJ as possibilities for you. Can you break down the task of cleaning your room into exactly 5 steps?
yeah, I think I can. Of course, yeah. The first step is to take all the stuff from my desk, put it on my bed, wipe it, take the vacuum cleaner, and do a lot of vacuuming, because there is a lot of dust in my room. And that contributes to my poor respiratory. How do you say that in English?
It's definitely the dust and not the cigarettes. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, and of course, then after vacuuming, I put all the stuff back that was on my bed to the desk, and I do my bed, because it's quite simple. I mean, I can manage that, and I
Is
think
that
that's
5 steps?
this is a 3-step thing. I take
Was
all
it?
my
I had 5 at that point. You took everything off of your desk and put it on the bed. You wiped the desk. You what was the next one?
You have already 5. I said clean the desk, take the things off the desk, wipe the desk, and vacuum. I think it's just one thing. I mean, I vacuuming in general. I could vacuum the desk. That could be still that
Okay,
cleaner, but okay.
that's why it's part of wiping the desk, because you can vacuum it.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I can vacuum the desk and vacuum the floor. And then I put everything back on the desk or some chairs, and I start doing the bed. So I take off all the things from the bed, and I start putting in the fresh things.
Is
Fresh.
that 5 steps?
Is this a 4th?
Okay, that's a 4th. Okay.
And then is the 5th step, which is probably putting everything together. Take all the things like clothing that needs to be washed, or things that have been forgotten somewhere in my room, and reestablish the order it needs. So putting it back where it belongs to, I think. So maybe there was something that was scattered, and as the last step, I can put it back together.
Okay. All right, cool. So you did 5 steps, gave me a lot more detail than ideally I would have heard. So I want to give you one more of these questions, and I want you to do it as concisely as possible, okay? Take out the trash in 4 steps.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want me to demo it as how I'd like it to sound, and then I'll give you a different one?
If you really want to, yeah.
All right, just like this, like get the bag out of the trash can, tie it up, put it in the big trash can, put a new bag in.
Well,
okay, so let me give you a different one then. Brush your teeth in exactly 4 steps.
Well, in exactly 4th step, 4th. Okay, so for first step is to get my toothbrush. Second step could be putting the toothpaste on. Brushing is 4th, and 5th could be I just put it back.
We're doing 4 steps. We're doing 4
Oh,
steps.
sorry, it's 4th. Okay, let me rearrange it. So it's taking my finding my toothbrush, putting the tooth paste on it, and cleaning my tooth and putting it back. It's 4.
Okay, cool. So, can you tell me what your understanding of where a person's worth comes from?
Well, I see the worth of a person. Well, I think there is 2 ways to approach this. There are multiple ways. I mean, if you seek a personal, I mean, I could give you like a social definition of it, like what I think is an important person. But personally, I think is what makes a person special is, I think, their sincerity, for example. The fact that they can be true to themselves, do the things that they imagine, be quite open, and um, being people that want to embrace who they are, I think, in the negative traits of themselves and in the positive. And especially those negative ones are the ones that I truly appreciate on people. People that is not always a positive sunshine, but also quite negative and violent in their nature. Those are the people that I think are special, in my view, or what makes them
Okay,
special.
so why is that negativity a positive for you?
Well, this is what mostly fascinated me on the Jung psychology. Um, I think that was the shadow of people, the true shadow of people. It's what I found interesting. Um, those traits of themselves that we maybe hate, but are inevitably part of ourselves and makes us special. I see people that really leave them and make a statement on those traits, and those are what really matter to them. And when I see that in person, I know for a fact that that person is not going to hide anything from me, or better, they're going to hide things, but I know for a fact that these people are the ones that will take full responsibility on what they do and the choices they take, and that's what I think makes them special.
Okay. Is there a clear, bright line between things that are negative in some regard and things that are violatory? Like, are there lines of bad behavior that simply invalidate a person for you?
Well, of course, I don't sympathize with people that make violent things. For example, I've once had a friend who I thought was quite. He had several issues with women. Um, that friend was quite toxic, I would say. It's maybe it's not the best way to define them, but they were quite toxic, and they were quite violent psychologically toward women. And at some point, I've realized that this person had been denounced from a woman because he attempted to rape her. And of course, that implication for me was a little too much to take. Thought that person was obscure, and I couldn't simply stand it. And that was a no-no to me.
That's that's good to hear. Do you think that there's that if you had a need to, you could iterate all of the different things that would qualify as deal breakers like that one did for you? Or do you think there'd be lots of stuff in a gray area?
Well, I don't think there are deal breakers because I mean there are gray areas, of course. Um, but I've known of people that were popular for having done very bad things, and that was not a deal breaker for me because I wanted to know them personally. So if somebody comes up to me and says this person has done something really bad, I may be interested in knowing what he done bad. Not necessarily to say, oh yes, he did something bad, but to really say, well, maybe you are wrong about the bad he did. Or maybe the
Very
bad he
cool.
did is something that I need to subjectively test or
Okay.
give an opinion on that.
All right. Let me ask you some TI questions. So, if some coffee is strong and all things that are strong lift weights, is it necessarily the case that some coffee lifts weights?
um, well, if some dude named Coffee lifts weight, yes. But I don't think coffee can lift weight. I mean,
All right, well, that's why it begins with if. It's conditional.
coffee that can lift weight. Well, there are many reasons why a coffee could lift weight. There may be a secondary meaning to
Okay,
that.
but that. Okay, let me just rephrase the question so you get the idea here. If some A goes B and all things that go B are C, is it necessarily the case that some E are C?
No.
Yes. Okay, how about this one? If only Egyptians build pyramids and I build pyramids, am I necessarily Egyptian?
Can you repeat?
If only Egyptians build pyramids and I build pyramids, am I necessarily Egyptian?
Well, if only Egyptian built pyramids and you built pyramids, well, you are necessarily Egyptian, yeah.
Okay. If every polar bear lives in Iceland and I live in Iceland, am I necessarily a polar bear?
No.
Okay. If no penguins eat fish and I don't eat fish, am I necessarily a penguin?
Can you repeat?
If no penguins eat fish
Yeah.
and I don't eat and I don't eat fish, am I necessarily a penguin?
No.
Okay. If uh if some baseball players eat sunflower seeds and some things that eat sunflower seeds are named Steve, is it necessarily the case that some baseball players are named Steve?
Wait, that's complicated. Can you repeat that?
If some baseball players eat sunflower seeds
Okay.
and some things that eat sunflower seeds are named Steve, is it necessarily the case that some baseball players are named Steve?
Is that a case that some baseball players are named Steve?
Right. So some A's do B. Some things
Exactly,
that
yeah.
do B are named C. Is it necessarily the case that some A's are named C?
If some that do B are what?
Some A's do B.
Okay.
Some things that do B
Okay.
are named C.
Our name's Steve. Okay.
Yeah. So is it necessarily the case that some A's are C?
Necessarily the case. Well, it's not necessary. It could be that are B, that are.
Right. You're right. You're right. It's not necessarily the case. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you a couple of genealogy questions. Okay.
What is
Can you tell me?
genealogy?
It's family relationships.
Ah, okay.
Can you tell me who my dad's sister's daughter's brother is in relation to me?
Yes.
Who is it?
No, no, I can't. Oh, I can't. I can't say. I don't know your family.
Okay, but I mean, like my dad's dad is, for example, my grandfather.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, your grandfather.
Can you tell me who my mom's brother's son is in relation to me?
Your mom is your mom.
My mom's brother's son.
Ah, my mom's. Sorry, I don't really. My mom's brother's son. My mom's brother's son. It's your nephew, some sort. No,
My
a
cousin.
grandnephew.
My cousin.
Your cousin. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know about that.
All right, let's try another couple of these. My dad's wife.
My dad. Your dad. Your dad. No, not your dad. Your dad.
My father's wife.
Your father's wife. Father's wife is your. Well, I think it's your the it's your grandmother.
Yes. Okay. Um, how about my sister's mother's husband's brother?
My sister. What?
Sister's mother's husband's brother.
Sister mother's. I'm finding difficulties here because in English you just give um the s, so to say is, and I think I lose some of the information when it comes to this. Like it tricks me into not understanding
Okay,
anything.
let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. The okay, I'm trying to do that will be a challenge for me. All right, let's skip all the genealogy problems for a second, and let me go to a different kind of problem. Um, okay, we're going to talk about Bob, who plays soccer, or as you probably call it, football.
Yeah.
So, if so, Bob's parents are going out of town this weekend, all right,
Mm.
but they're going out of town not together.
Mm.
And one of them is going out of town on Saturday. Mom's going out of town on Saturday, and dad's going out of town on Sunday.
Cool.
Okay. Bob, he's got 2 soccer games this weekend. One of
Okay.
them is on Saturday and one of them is on Sunday.
Okay.
Now, if Bob gets injured in practice on Thursday, then he won't be able to practice on Friday and he'll have to sit out the game on Saturday.
Okay.
If he does not get injured on Thursday, he'll practice Friday and he will play on Saturday,
Okay.
but he will not play on Sunday.
And the first proposition was that he didn't play Saturday, but he played Sunday.
Yeah, well, I didn't say that, but that was the implication.
Okay.
So, if he plays Saturday, mom will go see him play.
Yeah.
But if he plays Sunday, dad will go see him play.
Cool.
He injures himself on Thursday. Which parent sees him play?
You will play Sunday because
Right.
so yeah, you will play Sunday if the father. But you told me that the father goes
But you're
out of
right.
town.
You're right. You're right. I got it backwards. That's that's very good. Okay, interesting. All right. No, you're
You
absolutely
failed the
correct about
test,
that.
Eric.
You nailed it. You nailed me because I fucked it up. Yes, you're correct. That's not uncommon. I do fuck these things up relatively often. Oh, okay. Your TI is solid. I was a little concerned there when you're struggling with the genealogies, but I think it's possessives that was giving you the problem there.
I'm dyslexic also. I don't know if that cares.
Okay.
I have dyslexia, and when I was in high school, I didn't read. I couldn't read well. I was actually very bad at reading, and I failed Italian for 3 years. And then after high school, I became an avid reader. I started reading, and I am now able to read almost a book in 2 days. So it's weird because some things that were quite inexplicable to fix. I mean, I didn't have any tool to do that. I ended up quite becoming part of me. I mean, I could have never imagined to be able to read so much, but I
How'd
do.
you learn to speak English so well?
It's because when I was in high school, well, I didn't have many friends, but in high school, I spent a lot of time playing computer games. And I was a really good player. I was not a good player. I played a lot of Minecraft. And I was in a American server playing online, doing all sorts of things. And I made a bunch of friends that were Americans and teenagers like me. And we started playing together. And so I caught up with this pronunciation of things that was quite American, although I've been in the United States just once. So my English teacher was always failing me because I couldn't be such a good uh, student. I was never studying what she gave me to study. I was terrible at everything. But I was probably the best one, the one that could speak the best English in school. But still, my teacher was quite not keen of what I was doing. So she always gave me really, really bad low scores, although I was actually quite good, in my opinion.
That
So,
is so classic. Classically, the pointlessness of school. You can be the best speaker of English in the class and still get a bad grade because the teacher doesn't, because you're not doing what the teacher told you.
exactly. Yeah. I was not doing that. Actually, I was pissing her off because I had this American accent that she couldn't stand. She couldn't stand. But she didn't really realize herself, too, that she had indeed an American accent. Like she was completely.
Do you think you currently have an American accent?
I well,
You totally sound like somebody from Italy speaking English.
Perfect. Finally, perfect. I'm fixed now. I'm no longer American.
No American would ever mistake you for an American.
Well, actually, they did quite a few times. Surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're not paying very much attention to your accent because you sound Italian to me. Like for example, say the word category.
Category. Well, I
You
say,
said it that
well,
it said it normal that way, but the first time you were saying it, you were saying something like I forget how you pronounced it, but it was unusual sounding. Anyway, I don't mean to denigrate your excellent fluency in English, which is quite impressive. You've got a large vocabulary, and you know, it's better for you anyway to sound like an Italian. This way, when you go to America, you may have
yeah.
known from last time you went, you'll be able to bag all the chicks in the world.
I know that. I perfectly know that, and this is why usually when I meet people that are native English speakers, I tend to sound the most Italian, stupid, ignorant person I could. I definitely
That
fake
mean
my accent.
Italian isn't stupid or ignorant. You sound European, you know? That's
No,
all.
no, no, no. Trust me, Italians that do speak English, they sound quite stupid in my opinion. But I couldn't prove it to you. So
Okay. Well, all right. Let me do just to be thorough here, let me do an any test. Can you tell me a story about the duck who became king of the barnyard?
of the barn, a duck that became king of the barnyard. Well, that's quite interesting story. Well, what is a barnyard, by the way?
It means like the farm where the duck lives, basically. Where the chickens are and the other animals that live on the farm. They live near the barn.
Well, I imagine it could be funny if that duck became the king, um, because of its really, really uh, sophisticated skills of food management, for example. Like I imagine the duck being able to sort of um, uh, take on the economy of the barn, sort of relying on the other ducks onto stealing food from other ducks too, and pay them a little bit, and becoming a sort of a gang member of those ducks, sort of becoming one of those streetwise ducks that can fool the other ducks into believing him that he can provide or that he can do much for the other ducks. So he convinces every duck, especially those little ones that are being quite lonely and maybe without the mother or without any kind of help from their mother, to become, devoted to his personality. The duck can show them who they are, what they should do to be a great duck, teach them how to succeed in the barnyard, how to scream at other ducks, how to become fluent into swimming in the pond, and
Okay,
to
hold on. Let me get in here though. There's a chicken who's saying the duck presents a threat and is trying to mobilize chicken resistance. What does your duck do?
well, the duck, smart as it is, knows that he can easily identify the chicken as the enemy of the ducks. Simply different person. Simply somebody that threatens the order and the peaceful of the peace, the tranquility of those ducks. So he actually calmly responds to them and says, "Well, you ducks don't want to be fooled by a stupid chicken that can't even probably, well, I don't know if chickens swim, But of course, our ducks are superior to those chickens, and you should never listen to them. And this is why I think we should pay attention to me, which I am a duck, and not listen to a stupid chicken that wants your food.
Okay, all right, all right. So it seems pretty clear to me that you're an ENTP. I didn't ask any values questions. There's other confirmations I can do. What type did you think you were coming in?
All right. So story is that my brother initially thought I was an ISTP.
No,
And then
not,
came
not in a million years.
well, that came a long time ago. I was quite young. I was still 17 when they gave me this information, and I was immediately very interesting to me that I was an ISTP. And I think too that I am a ENTP, although I have. Why am I doing this? I mean, why am I asking Eric Strauss for his opinion? I mean, I think you are quite similar to me, and I think that I may be wrong, but I do have issues with FE. I mean, extroverted feeling is something that hurts me at some point.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
this is really hurtful position for me, extroverted feeling. So is this, I mean, how would extroverted feeling be in my fourth position? Wouldn't
Third.
be, yeah, of course, if, for example, I was an ISTP or if I was an INTP, what
Well,
could
it
be
wouldn't
the
matter to you as much. It wouldn't matter to you at all. You know, you'd have problems with it, and when it caused you problems, you'd regret having not paid more attention to it, maybe because it caused you problems. But as long as it doesn't cause you problems, it's not a value in and of itself. So, like, you have your sleeping schedule, you say it's terrible,
Mhm.
but you continue to have that sleeping schedule because it's not an absolute value to you.
Hmm, hmm,
And same with me. It's like I have a bad sleeping schedule. I know, like, I should go to bed and get some sleep right now because I need to rebuild some dopamine or whatever. But then I just want to stay up and watch this cartoon a little bit more. You know, it's just how it goes. It's not an absolute value. FE is an absolute value. That's where it's going to hurt and feel good. When people are perceiving you as smart, clever, interesting, different from other people, uh, when people are perceiving you as insightful and providing good ideas to others, that's going to be very satisfying for you. You're going to be perceived, ideally with FE, it breaks down to two things: being perceived as warm and being perceived as competent. Competence probably more important to you. Warm's also important, but that one's a little bit harder for you to get others to perceive you as, probably.
hmm, hmm.
So yeah, FE is our scorecard function, which means it's if we feel like we've embarrassed ourselves, then we're gonna have horrible cringe memories
Yeah.
for indefinitely. And if we feel like we really, showed the best sides of ourselves and people were impressed and liked us, then that is gonna be our ego spank stuff. And it's the same thing for everybody's third slot function.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I see where's this coming from. It's yeah, it's well, I absolutely agree with you. One thing is that tell me now, how do I escape INFJs? How do I get them to? No, I'm kidding.
I don't know what went wrong with you and your INFJ, but there is a reality that damaged people hurt people. I don't know what kind of person, what kind of childhood and stuff your INFJ had, or how much damage they took early on. In which case, if they did, they were probably abusive. And because you're FI polar, you would just put up with it for indefinitely.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
It's like if you're FI polar and you're in a relationship with somebody toxic, they'll tell you you're so selfish, and you'll try to evaluate the ways in which you are selfish to confirm whether or not they're correct. Even though they're
Exactly.
just trying to hurt your feelings, and you should just say fuck off. Stop trying to hurt my feelings. But that's just not the way we operate. We evaluate things for accuracy.
Yeah, in fact, I was told I am selfish many times. I mean, for somebody, I am the most selfish individual that ever existed. I should throw myself off a building for that.
Let her go.
I always say, well,
cut her loose, bro. You deserve somebody who affirms you. We need that. We need that third slot affirmation. We need to know that the person we're with both is impressed with us, thinks we're cool, likes us, thinks we're nice, appreciates what we have to offer,
Yeah.
INFJs are perfect to do that, but if you have a bad INFJ who has bad language habits, that's terrible, because what we both need is the same thing as INFJs ultimately need if they're healthy, which is extreme nuance and care with how language is used. So if she's using language ham-fistedly, just as like a brute would use language, that's completely unacceptable for us.
Yes. Well, of course, people that use feelings, either with people that have high feelings. But my best friend is a ESFP. He's an ESFP. Sometimes I can't stand him because, of course, he's he fails to me, he fails to logically evaluate things. I mean, sometimes he get up and say, "Well, they have found a way to be immortal. I can immortal. They found a technology to be that. I can inject myself with something that will make me hard as steel." comes to a proposition like that, and I'm like, how can I not hurt him to say?
It's always like this week's new ultimate truth.
Exactly that.
You're like, whatever happened to last week's? I'm going to retain my semen and magically have energy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're calling me right now. Cool. So yes, thank you very much. I could go on and talk about many different things, but I think I need to go right now. I mean, we have 1 hour. I think we have
Okay, cool.
Finished.
Well, I will publish this later today, and thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much, Eric. You've been really nice. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.
A rare, real ENTP right there.
Thank you.
See you later.